Bob Nightingale reporting that the Yankees remain interested in Blake Snell. Now, if you go back to some reports that we had, over the last 3-4 weeks or so before has it been a month already since the Yankees have signed Marcus Stroman? My goodness. This offseason is moving so slow. But before they signed Stroman, they were connected heavily with Blake Snell. The reported offer out there was 6 years, 150. There were initial reports that it was 5 years, 150. And I'm even seeing guys like Michael Kay still talking about that contract offer being 5 at 150. And no, it was 6, 150, according to more of the reports that started coming out after that. So roughly $25 million per year was the Yankees' offer. And if we actually go take a look at what Blake Snell is worth over, let's say, 5 years, you're looking at around maybe like 140. But if you go to 6 years, you're looking at around 160. So in all fairness, we can say what we want about Scott Boras, but according to his performance, age, projections, when you put it all together and the value that he's put onto the field based off of his performance, you're looking at a contract for 6 years around $160 million. So, say what you will about Scott Boras, but in all fairness, the Yankees' offer was a smidge low compared to what Baseball Trade Values is projecting, and they have been very spot on with contracts this offseason, as well as extensions as well. They were right on the money when it came to the Bobby Wick Jr. extension. The way to be able to get this is you have to have a year subscription. If you use my code HYDE, you get 10% off on that year subscription. It's a great tool. I've been looking at this thing a lot this offseason. I highly recommend it. But you're looking at 6 years, 160. So the Yankees offer fell a little bit short according to the projections. And Boras, for 6 years, he's probably asking for like $450 million probably. So a little short there. Now, if we go back again to this story, you kind of get back to what's going on with just the market in general, right? Blake Snell obviously still out here, Jordan Montgomery, Cody Bellinger, Matt Chapman. People are starting to get a little, what's the right word, right? I feel like baseball fans in general are always going to be a little bit impatient in the offseason because it feels like it moves a little bit slow, and we all want baseball to start, and we all want our team to sign this player, that player. So I feel like we all tend to get a little impatient, but I think to be very fair, I feel like this is getting dragged on just way too long. What do I know? I'm not a professional agent by any means. You're even getting people. This is how bad it's gotten. Listen to this, right? People are even agreeing with Rob Manfred saying that, it's a little, I forget the exact quote that he said, saying that basically he doesn't like that these guys are still on the market. He would prefer that these guys would be signed. Isn't that a little crazy that people are actually agreeing with Rob Manfred on that? That's how bad it is, everyone. That's how bad it is. So, you would think, I thought these guys were probably going to get signed, at least Montgomery and Snell this past week after pitchers and catchers reported. Now you're starting to see the full squads come together for this coming week. So this is very interesting. At this point, I really don't know. I don't remember a time where pitchers have been on the board this long. I can't think of at least a top guy. Maybe we've seen some other, yes, we've seen other pitchers out there maybe take a little longer. But when you're seeing a Cy Young winner still on the market, a World Series winner in Jordan Montgomery, who was very effective last season, both regular season and the postseason, still on the market, it's incredible to me. Like, I don't think I've seen it. I can't think of a time. There probably is one or two examples, but not that I can think of. So this kind of makes me think, what's going to happen here? We've seen the teams with Blake Snell. We've seen the Angels, the Yankees, obviously. Even my Red Sox have popped up at one point or another. The Orioles even popped up at some point, more speculative after the Kyle Bradish injury. people were wondering, oh man, could the Orioles maybe go out, maybe spend some cash? Maybe the new ownership will be okay with spending some money, go get Blake Snell. More speculative than anything. So, you've seen the Giants connected with him, the Mariners. There was that one report at one point that if the Mariners had signed Blake Snell, they can trade one of the young guys, but then they ended up trading Robbie Ray at one point. So, I don't know. It's a little murky when it comes to what his market actually is. But the one team that is constantly with Blake Snell are the Yankees. And I'm starting to wonder here, the longer these guys are on the market, what is a deal going to look like for these guys, especially for Snell and Montgomery? I mean, we've seen guys do the one-year deal before, the prove-it kind of deal. The big one, I think, at least in my opinion, was Marcus Semien when he went to the Blue Jays for a year, went back out in the market the next year and got a fat contract from the Texas Rangers. So we've seen it happen before where these guys go and prove what they can do after, say, maybe a down season. But for a pitcher, it's especially a pitcher of this caliber, it's very interesting to me. But right now, I have to think the money has to be on the Yankees at this point because they are the one team that is just consistent with him. Now, just kind of giving you a recap of Blake Snell, just in case you needed a reminder of the numbers. 32 starts last year, 180 innings, 2.25 ERA, the FIP at a 3.44. I believe second in the major leagues when it came to the strikeouts per nine. I believe that was only behind Spencer Strider, if my memory serves me correctly. The walks were a little high, but Fangraphs, they actually put out an interesting article not too long ago. I talked about this recently, saying that maybe it was actually by design. Maybe he was throwing all these balls, walking all these guys basically on purpose, trying to get them to chase a little bit more while also not trying to throw any mistakes, right? Throwing out of the zone on purpose. And, it's interesting how they put it together. Go find that article on Fangraphs. It's rather interesting. But anyway, that was the one thing with Blake Snell was the high walk rate, right? And he's had some issues with the groin the last couple of years, so that's something as well. Now, 180 innings, though, very good. With Blake Snell, again, if you're looking at, say, a 6-year deal, you're probably looking at around 160, right? As a fair contract, right? Based off of what he does or what he has done, what he has put on the field. Now, the more he stays on this market, the more I wonder if it ends up being some kind of a short deal. Now, I still think he can get a long deal, but let's say the market has crumbled. He's not going to get the long-term deal that he wants. And let's say he ends up taking like a 1-year deal, or maybe you do like a 3-year deal with an opt-out after year 1. Let's say something like that, right? And he goes back out onto the market next year. So, and I wonder if with this article here with Bob Nightingale today saying the Yankees remain interested, I wonder to what extent. I wonder if are they still interested in that 6-year deal, or are they interested in maybe like a 1-year deal or something shorter, like 2 years, 3 years, something along those lines? Because listen, yeah, Blake Snell in this rotation, oh, that would be fantastic, right? You would have Garrett Cole, Snell, Rodon, Stroman, who you just added, Clark Schmidt, Cortez at the back end. Cortez, I would imagine, would basically become a swing man at some, or Schmidt, or maybe you trade one of these guys. I don't know. It's getting a little late in the game for that. But your rotation would look extremely good on paper. Now, the one thing I wonder about with the Yankees, right? Now, with the Yankees, at least my time, growing up, during my years of the Red Sox-Yankee rivalry with George Steinbrenner as the owner, the Yankees' payrolls were always the highest, right? But then we've seen over the last several years, the Yankees, they were being a little bit more restrictive when it came to their budget. But now you're starting to see them really shell out those Yankee dollars again. And this is where I just wonder how far they're willing to go. Not that I could see them doing it for this year. You've already just blown through the CBT. The first threshold, the second threshold, the third threshold, and the fourth threshold. You've already blown through everything. So you might as well at this point just keep going, right? There's no stopping you at this point. There's no other threshold. You're in Steve Steinbrenner territory. Steve Cohen, a.k.a. Steve Steinbrenner territory. So, but I wonder, how long do the Yankees want to do that? Because you don't have a lot of money coming off the books after this coming year. You're locked in with Judge, Cole, Rodon, Stanton, all four of them for the next 4 years. No opt-outs. I mean, Garrett Cole, that whole thing, I believe the Yankees will most likely exercise that club option for 29 so he avoids opting out. That would be crazy to me if they don't exercise that. I think they will. But I think that would be a little, I don't know. Could you imagine? Could you imagine they sign Snell and they don't exercise that option and they just give Cole the chance to opt out? I don't think that would happen. I don't think. And unless I missed it. Did they already exercise it? I don't think they have already, unless I just completely missed that. I'm just saying, man, I'm speculating here very heavily. I'm just weighing all options. But I wonder, they haven't done it already, man. I do think they will, though. I do think that'd be silly, in my opinion, to not exercise that option. But he could still stay. He could still stay with the team. So it's not like he's out of his contract if they don't exercise that option. So anyway, let's just say Cole is sticking around for the long haul. You're locked in with these four guys for the next 4 years, right? You got Rizzo coming off. I would imagine he goes elsewhere. Canley's coming off, but I mean, Weaver, Trevino, they got the club options, but that's not really a whole lot of money combined with those guys. You do have, I will say, Soto, that's a guy you want to keep around. But Gleyber Torres, Verdugo, Holmes, Gleyber Torres is a slightly bigger one right there at $14.2 million. So you do have some coming off here when it comes to the arbitration guys. I just wonder, what are the Yankees going to do next year? Or what are their thoughts about the payroll for the next year, 2 years? So now getting back to Snell, I wonder, are they interested in just like a 1 year kind of a thing? 1 year with 2 year, 3 year with an opt-out after one or so. If it was a 1 year deal, you're looking at $35 million, right? Then he goes back out into the market. If you're looking at 3 years, you're looking at around 90, 93, 95. Who knows? Maybe with Boris, he can push that to 100. So that's what I'm starting to wonder here. I wonder if it's a short-term deal that they're interested in, which at this point, if the market's collapsing, I think that could be possible. And it would give Snell a pretty good chance to win for this coming year if he were to go the short-term route. The Yankees, I think, look pretty good, right? Who would have thought? Giraffe Neck Robbie talking about the Yankees this way. I've always talking highly of the Yankees. I've told you all before, I have high respect for the Yankees. But I think this Yankee team looks really good. I mean, I love, not obviously Juan Soto is a great addition, but I think Verdugo could end up being a decent bat for them, gives them something a little different. Volpe, I think takes a step forward this coming year. LeMahieu, let's see if he can get it going a little bit more. Rizzo as well. I think the Yankees are on the upswing here, right? And I do like the Stroman addition. I like with Verdugo and Stroman. Yeah, those are definitely some personalities. And with the Red Sox, with Verdugo last year, that didn't really work out all that well. Stroman, he has definitely had his issues in the past, especially with Yankee fans. But what I like about those guys is they do at least bring some energy. And I think that could go well. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. I do like the way this Yankee team looks. And if Snell were to come onto this team, I think I would imagine they got to be like top 3, top 4 when it comes to World Series favorites at that point, right? Everyone, Braves, Dodgers, yeah, right? Orioles are definitely favorites as of right now. I would think the Yankees got to be at least top 4 at that point, at least top 5. So we'll see. But that's what I'm starting to speculate with Blake Snell. If the Yankees are indeed interested, I think it's probably a 1-year pact, right? Maybe 2, something like that. Some kind of opt-out mixed in, or who knows? Maybe they're still okay with doing like 5 years, right? But after adding Stroman, I don't know, man. Maybe they could be okay for like 3 years, right? You got Stroman on the so Stroman has the vesting option. But again, I'm thinking of Blake Snell on the market, and I would think Boris, he wants Snell to maximize his market the most he can. So I would think no matter what, he wants Snell back out on the free agent market next year. So I don't know. I don't see Snell being like, yeah, let's just do a 3-year deal, right? 3 years, no opt-outs, no options. I don't see that. Because to me, I would think he would want something longer, right? 1 year? Sure. I could see him being game for that. But we'll see. We will see. We got a super chat coming in. Big Braves fan, how you doing? $4.99. Is the Braves going to be on Bally Sports this year? Because they have not. They don't have their TV broadcast. I don't know. I think they got everything figured out. Well, they did with the Rangers. I know that at least. I think it will be. All right. I think they've gotten everything squared away for 2024. So I think so. Yeah. I don't see why not. Either way, there will be a way for you to watch your Braves games, my friend. There will be a way. But let's get to the next story here. I thought this was really interesting. Nolan Arenado making some comments over the past few days. Getting back to the Cardinals team last year. The Cardinals, obviously, we saw last year, had a pretty rough time. I was very shocked with how that team ended up, unfolding, right? You added Contreras, thought that was going to be a decent ad for them, and then everything just fell apart. Right? They didn't have a complete, full pitching staff. You had guys that were regressing in the lineup. You had young guys coming up, too. It ended up just being this perfect storm of disappointment for the Cardinals. But they've had a pretty decent offseason, in my opinion. But Nolan Arenado, he made some interesting comments here. And he actually talked about the clubhouse last year. He said, our team was all young guys. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but they kind of overran the clubhouse, and usually the veterans run the clubhouse. I think if you want to get the best out of young guys, they've got to see how the veterans do it. All-stars and players that have done it before. I know me and Paul Goldschmidt were there, but we're not really vocal people either. Huh? What? I don't know, man. I thought that I don't know. Like, I thought I'm still kind of like digesting that. I respect that he says, they're not really vocal. I can respect the honesty. Dude, you're Nolan Arenado. You're Paul Goldschmidt. Why? What? I don't think you need to be vocal. I mean, what do I know? I'm not a major league player by any means. I'm a doofus that sits at my desk. I don't know. But to me, for me personally, when I was playing baseball growing up, and, when I'm on the JV team, I'm looking at the veteran guys that were on varsity, right? I'm looking at how those guys were operating. I still remember one guy, who knows if he even watches this, probably not. He ended up going to the Air Force after he graduated from high school, but his name was Tyler Brown. And he was a guy that wasn't the most vocal, but he was an extremely hard worker. The dude was drenched in sweat after every practice, after every game. But he just led by example. He was one of those guys, always dirty, right? And our varsity team was always pretty good, right? I'm not saying it was just because of him, but like to me, I don't think you need, I think you do need those vocal guys, right? Sure. But I don't know. I just think with Arenado and Goldschmidt, you guys are multiple-time All-Stars. You've achieved a lot in this game. I don't know. That last part just really took me on, like, kind of, what's the phrase I'm looking for? I can't think of the phrase I'm looking for. It just like kind of caught me off guard a little bit. That's what I was looking for. I don't know. I just think to me, when you guys are those players that are that high of stature, your top 50 players in the game year to year to year, I don't think you need to be in this clubhouse like yelling and screaming and whatnot. I just think, I don't know. But, you know, Arenado, I think you could also tie in the fact that he was having his struggles last year. So maybe he wasn't as positive last year, whereas a couple of years ago, he was extremely good. Right? I don't know. Arenado, to me, he's always been a guy. He doesn't really come off like a Jock Peterson to me, but he's always been a guy that seems like he can be vocal enough, right? He can lead by that example, right? And he can still talk to these young guys. I don't know. I just thought this was a little weird. The whole comment itself. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not really seeing it right, but I just thought that was a little odd, right? So anyway, you have brought in some more veterans, which I think was good, right? Sonny Gray, that guy's a bulldog, right? Kyle Gibson, that's a very good leader in my opinion. He's not going to be the flashiest of guys on the mound, but he's just going to give you solid outings usually, right? Give you a ton of innings, a ton of workload, right? Lance Lynn, that's a guy, if you want vocal, Lance Lynn is definitely going to be a dude in that clubhouse. So I see what he is saying, but I guess to me, you and Paul Goldschmidt weren't enough. And I'm not trying to just do like some like cheap and easy hot take here. I actually really wonder, like, why weren't you guys enough for this clubhouse, especially with how much you have achieved? I don't know. I could be looking at this the complete wrong way, but I just found that a little odd. Now, you didn't have Yadier Molina. Yadier Molina was basically your game manager, right? So when you lost him, your in-game manager, sorry. When you lost him, yeah, you definitely lost a lot right there. But I think that would have been a good chance for Arenado and Goldschmidt to really step up in those situations. So, I don't know. Kind of just makes me wonder. But what can you do? What can you do? They did also have a new manager, right? So I just felt like everything was just kind of a mess with the Cardinals. And it's funny because you look back on it and you think to yourself, man, why didn't we see all this coming? Losing someone like Yadier Molina, I think was a big loss. I don't think we all thought how much of an impact that was going to be. You saw all that drama with Wilson Contreras, all of that unfolding. And it was pretty, like, crazy, in my opinion, how everything, you know, they took him out of the catcher spot, put him in the outfield. We're like, what the heck? What? So, I don't know. I just think the entire organization last year was just, they got punched in the face, and they didn't see it coming, right? So, let's see, you know, if Arenado and Goldschmidt can be a little bit better for this clubhouse this coming year. And Fangraphs, they definitely think they're going to be a better team. I agree. I think this team is really good. And he's saying, you know, you got a whole bunch of young guys. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it wasn't like the whole clubhouse was, like, overrun with young guys. Like, Gorman, Walker, you know, Wynn came up later on. I don't know. I don't think there was, like, this, like, tidal wave of youth. I don't know. I just thought, again, I keep repeating myself, but I thought the comments were just weird overall. I think Arenado and Goldschmidt, I think hopefully they looked back and they reflected on that and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we need to be a little bit better. I don't know. Ethan Sacco, $10 super chat, my friend. How you doing? This is Josh Jacobs' article. This Josh Jacobs article is a nothing burger. I think they just didn't care last year when they knew the season was a wash and the veterans didn't step up. You know, maybe I wouldn't say they didn't care. I don't ever want to think that, these guys, you're playing Major League Baseball. I think you're always just going to care, right? I just think, again, I think it was like this perfect storm that they didn't see coming. I don't think they realized how big Yadier Molina was. I don't think they realized how short they were on the innings in the rotation. The starting rotation, to me, in the end, was just not good, right? If you want to just get to a performance point of view, that rotation stunk. Like, I remember going into the season, and you didn't have a good rotation, right? Wainwright had been solid the last couple of years, but he fell apart last year. You didn't have anything in that rotation, but now you've replenished it. So again, I'm going to get back to that word, that phrase, perfect storm. So Ethan, thank you for that. I appreciate that, my friend. As for this coming year, Fangraphs, they are a believer in the Cardinals this year. They see a record of 83-79. So that would definitely be an improvement. But this entire Central is basically up for grabs according to the numbers. Now, they have 4 teams in that 80-win range. The Pirates are a few behind at 77, but I think the Pirates could be a pretty fun team this year. I think if they can land Edward Cabrera, they have been connected with the Marlins and trade rumors there. If they could land him, I think that's a pretty good arm to add to that rotation. I think that would be really nice for them. I still think the Pirates aren't quite there yet, but I think they could surprise some people. Get off to a hot start. We'll see. But Henry Davis, he's definitely going to have to take a step forward this coming year. So we'll see. But overall, this division could be really fun. And I do see a better Cardinals team this coming year. I really like the rotation. I mean, a lot of people think the rotation just looks bad. I don't think Lance Lynn is going to be as bad as he was last year. Gibson, I'm a fan of Kyle Gibson, a guy that's just going to give you innings. Innings are underrated. Michaelis is going to be another guy that gives you innings. But Gray was the big addition to me. I think he's going to go down as one of the more underrated additions of the offseason. A guy just with good stuff. He's been solid. I like Sonny Gray. I like this rotation, right? And you've added a couple of bullpen pieces. I did like that Keenan Middleton addition there. You've added a couple other guys. Andrew Kittredge. Just so happens Chaim Bloom is there now, and that was a former Ray. So I like the look of this team. I really do. I think there could be some upside with this bullpen. You got some pretty good arms in here. Rotation looks solid to me. Don't forget, they brought back Matt Carpenter. Hey, I'm just saying, Albert Pujols went back to the Cardinals, and Pujols just went off. Maybe Matt Carpenter can get back to his old ways. We'll see. I like the way this Cardinals team looks. And I think Wilson Contreras, I think that year, getting that first year under his belt with a new organization, he's learned the pitching staff a bit more. He's learned the way they do things. Obviously, Yachty, I'm sure they have talked at least once or twice. So I do see a better Cardinals team. But what does BetUS think? What does our sponsor of tonight's show think of the St. Louis Cardinals? Everyone, make sure you go check out tonight's sponsor, BetUS. And hey, we're right in the middle of basketball season here, and I'm sure there were some pretty good bets to be had for the All-Star game tonight. But if we're looking at baseball, as of right now, for the money line, they have the Chicago Cubs with the best odds for the Central at plus 175. They got the Cardinals right behind at plus 185. The Reds, actually, they got coming behind them in third. The Brewers at plus 650. And the Pirates, they're not so hot on the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? So if you were to go place a bet for the National League Central, I think you could go a lot of different ways here. I think you could just go. I think a lot of people will find the Chicago Cubs to be a safe bet. I think a lot of people, honestly, like if you wanted to maybe go place a bet that could end up winning you some cash, I think maybe the Cincinnati Reds, right? That could be a decent one. We'll see. We'll see. But definitely go take a look at this and go check out all the other divisions as well. There's a whole bunch of different ways to play right now when it comes to baseball, even though we don't have baseball season on at the moment. You got the awards, you got the stat leaders, you got some specials right now. And actually, Cody Bellinger, what are they saying here about Cody Bellinger? Let's see what well, here we go. So they're looking at his next team, if not the Cubs. I do think he ends up at the Cubs, but you got plus 200 for the Giants, the Angels at plus 250, Blue Jays at 300, and they even got the Mariners at plus 500. So make sure you go check out all of these different ways to play. Like I said, you got basketball, you even got college baseball back. Okay, college baseball is back, everyone. I'm going to be paying a little bit more attention to college baseball this year, especially with a lot of fun players coming up in the draft next year. Just saying. Chase Burns, pretty decent arm right there. So everyone, make sure you check out BetUS. The link is in the description down below. You get a 125% bonus when you click on that link. The more you support by clicking on that link, you don't realize how much you actually support the channel. They have been an amazing sponsor for us, sponsoring the show every single time. So definitely, if you can, go make a deposit, maybe $10 or something, and go see if you can win yourself some cash, but make sure you play responsibly. Alrighty, let's move on here. You know, it's funny. I got a Red Sox story coming up, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not really going to spend a whole lot of time on it because I don't really think there's too much to it. We actually have a couple of Red Sox stories here, but the way Red Sox fans are right now, any story that comes out that involves contracts, whether it's a free agent or even someone like Tristan Casas who could get an extension, everyone in Red Sox land is just jumping off a cliff right now when it comes to anything money-wise. Like, don't even say the word money around Red Sox fans right now. It's not a good idea. I don't recommend it. You could go to the store with a Red Sox fan right now and be like, man, that what can I think? What's at the grocery store that I would probably get? Hey, that Reese's there, man. Hey, a couple bucks for that Reese's, and I guarantee the Red Sox fan with you will say, John Henry won't even pay for that. It's just how it is right now. But Tristan Casas, they have discussed a possible extension. Reporters asked him if there had been any discussions, and he said, of course we have. Casas told reporters when asked if the sides have talked extension yet. Casas went on to add that while he hopes to stay a member of the Red Sox forever, nothing enticing had been offered to him at this point. Casas declined to get into the specifics when asked what sort of contract he would consider, though he noted his goal is a deal that would leave himself and his family set for the rest of his life. Now, we have seen the Red Sox in the past do extensions for these guys that end up getting them through free agency. We have seen those deals before. We saw it with Xander Bogaerts, right? They just did it with Rafael Devers. I do think there was a bit of public pressure with Devers there, but they have done these kind of contracts before. So with Casas, I do think they should get something done at some point. Now, when I think of Tristan Casas, right, I think, let me actually go pull up here Tristan Casas. And he had a very good season last year. He got off to a really slow start. But Tristan Casas, this is a guy that I think the Red Sox should keep around at least for, I would think at least 6-7 years, at least, right? So Casas last year, very good after a slow start, like I said. He is projected for some very good numbers next year at 24 years old. He's projected to hit 264 with a 371 on base. That is a really good on base percentage. 489 on the slugging, 28 home runs. 24 years old. So that makes me think back to the Freddie Freeman extension. He got 8 years, right, with the Atlanta Braves. I believe it was 8 years, 135. That's Freddie Freeman, though. Let's keep that in mind. Listen, I love me some Tristan Casas, but I don't know. I don't think that's very fair to compare him to Freddie Freeman. That he's an alien, right? That dude Freddie Freeman is so good, right? I would probably think, I don't know, more like I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting Matt Olson, right? But Matt Olson was a monster last year, but Freddie Freeman, year to year, man, he's just a smidge better. Now, Tristan Casas, again, got off to a slow start last year, but was very good after that slow start. The guy was basically carrying the Red Sox offense at one point. So, 24 years old. For me personally, the way I think about this, I think Casas would want an 8-year deal. That's, to me, I think the best of both worlds. He says he wants to stay with the Red Sox forever, right? But I think for his sake, financially, from a financial point of view, I would think he wouldn't do some kind of like a 12-year deal. That's just my opinion. I would think he would want to give himself a chance to go onto the market, because even if he went back to the Red Sox, I think going onto the market is still only going to help him, right? Or at least the closer you get to the market, being a free agent, it's only going to increase his leverage if he is playing well. So to me, I don't know. I think from a negotiation point of view, for his future financial, for his financial future, I would think an 8-year deal makes sense because he'll be 32, going onto the market, very similar to Freddie Freeman, ended up getting a massive deal with the Dodgers. That's how I see it, right? Now, I don't think he's going to get 135, but they're projecting here on baseball trade values, you're looking at 8 years, $92 million. Now, maybe you could make it 8 years, 100, something like that. 8 years, 95. So that's the way I look at it. We'll see. And you see a lot of people where, they're just getting on to the Red Sox. And, I'm not trying to sit here and be a Red Sox just complete, what's the word I'm looking for? Complete, just fanboying the Red Sox completely. But people don't know what the numbers are. So I think just for people to just jump into it and be like, oh, the Red Sox, they're being cheap. It's like, you don't even know what the dollars are offered. You don't even know what the years are. What is Casas even looking for? What is his agent even looking for? I just see all these things. I see people suggesting giving Casas like a 10-year, $200 million deal. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? I honestly really think MLB The Show has actually really affected a lot of people when it comes to their thinking behind this stuff. I really do think that. I saw that today. I saw like a 10-year for $200 million. I'm like, dude, he's had 1 year. 1 year. He's a first baseman. Keep that in mind, everyone. First basemen, they are not going to be getting paid as much as the shortstops, the center fielders. It's just not what it is. We're almost at 200 likes. We're at 199. I see you in the chat. Oh, we got to 200 likes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Anyway, this is what I think. Just my opinion. I think an 8-year deal for Casas makes some sense. He can go back out into the market if he really wants to. Or maybe you could do a 10-year deal, something like that. Maybe you can put some opt-outs after that 8th year. Something like that. That's what I think. Ultimately, it should be. So, as for some trade news, like I said in the intro, I can't believe we have gotten to a point where I hate this offseason. I really do. I really hate this offseason because a middle reliever had Red Sox Twitter in an absolute frenzy. Like, unbelievable, man. And like, it's just, I hate this offseason so much. Oh, John Schreiber, he was the big name over the weekend. And go to the Royals, and in return, the Red Sox get a pitching prospect in David Sandlin. Now, looking at the trade itself, baseball trade values, they graded John Schreiber at 9.7 for the median value. David Sandlin, the Sandman, at $2 million for the median. Now, for John Schreiber, I would put him lower because he was coming off a down year. A couple of years ago, looked really good in that Red Sox bullpen. The big reason Schreiber has a lot, even this much value, is because he has 3 years of control. That's not bad, right? To have a guy like that, but he is 30, so he's going into the north side of 30 there. So we'll see. And then the Red Sox, they get David Sandlin, who right now is at $2 million for the median. He is a rising prospect, had himself a pretty good year last year in the minor leagues, and he's had a pretty good offseason. This guy even touched 100 miles per hour. I believe he was at Driveline throwing a bullpen, and he hit 100 on one of his pitches. So David Sandlin, he is a rising prospect. So we'll see if he can turn into anything. But looking at from the Royals' point of view, hey, the Royals, they just keep on having a very productive offseason. Let's see how good this Kansas City Royals team can be. I do think there's a lot of potential with this lineup. I mean, obviously, Bobby Witt Jr., this guy's a five-tool player. There's not really much else you need to say there. You're going to be getting Vinny Pasquantino back. So he basically, last year was basically a lost season for him, but that's going to be a very good bat to get back into your lineup. Salvador Perez, he's going to keep hitting the homers. MJ Melendez, he is projected for some decent numbers next year, 23 home runs, the 445 slugging. They added Hunter Renfroe. He's going to give you some pop. So they do have potential in this lineup. Now, do I think it's going to be a top 5 offense? No. But, could they maybe be in that maybe 16 to 14 range? Maybe. They've added some pitching. And don't forget they added a, veteran in Adam Frazier. Thought that was all right. Cole Reagans had a really good season last year in the second half, or really good second half last season. You've added Waka, Lugo, a couple of veteran guys, Singer, Lyles. They really need to step it up for next year. You've made a lot of additions in this bullpen besides Schreiber. You brought in Nick Anderson, Chris Stratton, Will Smith. So Matt Sawyer as well in the Rule 5 draft. John Schreiber, I think he just shores up that middle relief. He was very good a couple of years ago. That's why I think he's even worth that conversation right now, because he was excellent a couple of years ago for the Red Sox, to the point where people were even saying, hey, this guy should be the closer for the Red Sox. So keep that in mind. Overall, I do like what this offseason has looked like for the Kansas City Royals. As for Fangraphs, though, they're still not giving the Royals a whole lot. They're still running away with the Twins in that Central, the Guardians and the Tigers coming behind them with 80 wins, and they have the Royals at 76 wins, even after the addition of John Schreiber. But again, you're looking at projections here, and the fact that you have 4 teams within 6 games, or sorry, 8 games of each other. The Royals, they're saying, are going to be 8 games back, but, you got those 4 teams in that mix. Who knows what the Central Division will look like at the All-Star break? I mean, we will see. Who knows, right? I like the Tigers for this year. I'm surprised they don't give a little bit more for the Tigers, honestly. But I think it's going to be a dogfight. And I think the Royals, even if they don't end up getting there, I'm glad at least they're putting their best foot forward this offseason. So, and as for the Red Sox, you're getting David Sandlin here. And listen, I think this is a good move. I think it's a good move for the Red Sox. So, because at the end of the day, you have very minimal pitching in that farm system, right? Schreiber is a guy where, and that was another thing too, like just people, Red Sox people on Twitter, man, like I swear, some of them, it's like Schreiber, right? He's a middle reliever. He had a FIP in the mid-4s last year. And I'm seeing a lot of like the engagement accounts out there, like the news, Twitter accounts and whatnot, being like upset over the John Schreiber trade. I'm like, first off, relievers are a dime a dozen. John Schreiber is a perfect example of that. John Schreiber was a non-roster invite for the Red Sox in 2022. Guy came out of nowhere. That's what you could do with these guys. And like people are like, oh my gosh, how do we get rid of John Schreiber? Like this team is I had a guy telling me that the Red Sox were selling because they traded away a middle reliever with a mid-4 FIP. What are we talking about? Red Sox fans on Twitter, you need to go sit down, go take a break from Twitter. Seriously, go eat a sandwich. Some of these freaking people, I don't know what is going on. They're like, well, the Red Sox are selling. They're trading away everyone. We traded John Schreiber. I like Schreiber, but what the heck are we talking about? Like I saw Sean McAdam of Mass Live or whatever. Oh, this proves that the Red Sox, they are not competitive. They're not going to be a serious team this year. This is not what a team with eyes on competing is doing. Sean McAdam, I'm looking right at you, my friend. That's a media tactic that you're doing. You're putting negative stuff out there to try and get clicks. I know what you're doing, my friend. You got to stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's ridiculous. You got to cut it out. It's a middle reliever. You have all these other guys that you've brought in who could easily give you the production John Schreiber did last year. We've got to cut this out. Red Sox fans, please go sit down, take a nap, go eat a sandwich, for crying out loud. Sorry, I don't mean to rant, but anyway, David Sandlin, he seems like a nice guy. Had a pretty good year last year. A-ball, 12 starts, 3.38 ERA, FIP at a 3.45. Good strikeout to walk ratio. Let's see. Let's see if he ends up turning in anything. Okay, I'm done with my Red Sox. Apologies for my rant. I need this offseason to end. Please, get Jordan Montgomery. Here we go. Let's move on. The Philadelphia Phillies, they made a move. This weekend. And, hey, this is a guy I thought was going to come to the Red Sox at one point. Whit Merrifield going to the Phillies. 1 year, $8 million deal. Nothing crazy, right? I think Whit Merrifield is a good ad for them. At this point, Whit Merrifield is a utility guy. He's going to be able to play a few different positions for you. Veteran guy. He's 35 years old. But he's a good veteran guy to have. He's going to give you some speed as well. I think 26 stolen bases last year. So, hey, not a bad guy to add to your team, right? I saw one person on Twitter the last couple of days saying that the Phillies look like a hockey team when you look at all these players that they have. And that, honestly, is that the vision the Phillies have been going for the last few years? Where they're just trying to put together a team that just looks like a hockey team? I mean, think about it. I mean, all these guys look like they can actually go play some hockey right now. Like, Whit Merrifield kind of looks like that to me. I thought that was hilarious when I read that. Angelo, Merrifield's not a bum. He's not a bum. I think he's a solid guy to have on your bench. Like, I'm not gonna say he's a starter by any means. But speaking of the bench, now I think this Phillies team, we all know that this team can be good, right? Let's see if they can repeat what they've done the last couple of years. I don't know. I've said this a million times. They haven't really gotten better, in my opinion. Merrifield's fine, right? You brought Nola back, but that's literally all you've done. It's like you're asking for regression this year, right? But I have one little thought that goes into this. Now, Whit Merrifield, okay, sure, on the surface, okay. All right, yeah, all right, sure. Decent ad for the bench. However, if we take a look at the payroll right now, the addition of Whit Merrifield now brings you above that second threshold of 257. You are now above that. Now, when you look at the CBT, right? Now, last year, the Phillies, they had to pay almost $7 million in luxury tax fees. They have been over the luxury tax for the last couple of years. Keep that in mind. So the more you go over it year to year, the more taxes you're going to have to pay. So now they're going into their third straight season here of being over the luxury tax, but now you're going into the next threshold as well. So when you are, again, third consecutive year or more, you already have to pay 20% on all overage, right? All overage. But now it's going to be 50%, right? So last year they had to pay 30%, along with another surcharge. I believe they were still in that first threshold. I could be wrong. Let me actually double check that really quick. 2023, where were they? They might have actually gone past the second. They were at 262. Okay, so they were above the second threshold. All right. So they had to pay 45, so I believe 42.5% they had to pay last year on the overages, plus the 30% on the overages. So you're paying over 70% on your overages right there. Now, third straight year, that's going to go up to 50% on the overages. and you're still in this threshold here, and now it's going to go up to 45%. So they're going to have to pay almost 100% on the overages. So as of right now, you are looking at the Phillies paying, when it comes to this year, you're paying 95% on overages if I did my math right. So you're over now by $24 million. So you're going to have to pay over $20 million in luxury tax fees. So the Phillies, right, if they stay under that next threshold of 277, I still think that would still be the 40, right? Still be that 40 million over, right? Am I getting that right? Yeah, so you'd still be 40 million over. But if they go over that 277, they would then have to pay a 60% surcharge plus 50%. So the Phillies, if they go over, maybe I'm wrong, but if they go over by 60 million, which I still think that is pretty far. So you'd have to be at 297. Now, if you added, so I don't think they're going to get to the 297. I don't think they're going to have to do that. No, that's still what? That's 36 million away. I don't see that. So if you add Jordan Montgomery, let's say you add Montgomery, right? Let's say you find, some money laying around. You go 25 a year for Montgomery. Let's say you add 25 million to this 261. That's 286. So that puts you, let's say you're 50 million over. 50 million over. You're going to have to pay 50% of that, right? Because you're going to be in the third consecutive year. So that's 25 million in taxes right there. And then you would have to pay 45% on that 50 million. So a little less than 25. So if the Phillies sign Jordan Montgomery, they're going to have to pay over $40 million in luxury tax fees. That was in the ballpark of what the Padres had to do last year. So again, Whit Merrifield himself, this signing, it's not that big of a deal, but it makes me wonder here, now that you're getting even more and more over, how far are they willing to go? Because you're looking at a lot of luxury tax fees. And Robert Vale, very good point. I completely forgot about Zach Wheeler. So what does that mean for Zach Wheeler? Because with Wheeler, you're already paying him. What are you paying him this year? You're paying him 23.5. So I don't think that, his salary is going to stay the same. So his extension would start in 2025. So there could be some implications for that for next year. They do have money coming off the books. You would have Wheeler coming off next year if you didn't work out an extension, but not a whole lot else after that. Strom, Dominguez as a club option. Merrifield will probably be gone. So I don't know, man. You got not a whole lot of money coming off. If you add Montgomery, you're paying a lot of taxes. And then you would have him, let's say you sign him to a 5-year deal, you have him locked in, and then if you wanted to sign Wheeler, dude, you're going to be paying a ton of luxury tax fees, even next year, right? So this makes me wonder, I know I kind of rambled on there a lot, but what does this mean for signing someone like Jordan Montgomery, right? Because really, you're going to get, by adding his salary alone, you're going to have to pay so much more in luxury tax. We'll see. But I think that could have some big implications. Now, last story. What just happened to my screen? Bryce Harper. Even Bryce Harper's looking for some more money. Bryce Harper. Even thinking of an extension. I think that's like, what? I keep thinking of the one part from SpongeBob where the fish, he goes, what the? But Bryce Harper, he is signed until 2031. I mean, goodness gracious. That's another 7 years. So I guess Harper, he wants to be extended maybe even to, his age 40 season. So, I don't know, man. There's a lot of money stuff going on right now with the Phillies, right? A lot of money stuff going on. We'll see. Everyone, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I really hope we see some moves this week. Can we please see Blake Snell? I don't even care if Blake Snell just goes to the Yankees at this point. Go to the freaking Yankees. I need something to happen with that. Jordan Montgomery. Not Jordan Montgomery. Red Sox, can you just get this done for Jordan Montgomery, for crying out loud? Can we? You know what? No. You know what? Let me talk to Scott Boras. Scott Boras, can you just quit it? Just stop it. Everyone's boycotting against you. You need to cut this out. You're not helping out your players. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably going to look like a clown after making that statement. They'll probably end up getting millions and long-term deals, and I look like a clown. But it doesn't feel like it's going to go that way. Who knows what ends up happening? But goodness, I feel bad for guys like Montgomery and Snell because pitchers and catchers have already reported. It's like, how long do these guys want to sit out? Like, really? I mean, because it's not like where Cody Bellinger, he can show up, go hit the cages for a few days, go take some live BP. He's probably taking live BP and hitting in the cages as we speak. What is it? It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm sure Bellinger is probably swinging somewhere. He'll be fine. Position players, you don't have to worry about them. But the pitchers, you have a routine. You got to work up the arm strength. You got to do your long toss. You got to do your bullpens. And I'm sure maybe Snell and Montgomery, they're doing whatever they got to do. But I think a team would like to know where these guys are at with their throwing and whatever else, and they want to kind of get them on schedule, right? I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. I heard Michael Kay the other day talking about how, like I said, position players, not a big deal, but the pitchers, they need all of spring training. They need all of it because they use the whole spring to ramp up. The hitters, whatever. The hitters are always going to, they're going to be taking, they're going to be using spring training to just get as much timing down as they can, right? We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening here. But I think you got to get something done with Montgomery and Snell this week. You have to. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. Everyone, if you can on the way out, hit that like button for me. We got to 247 on the likes for tonight. I want to thank you for that, everyone. I'm going to give you a thank you for that. We have not been hitting that goal over the last few streams, so just want to say thank you for that. Hit that bell, everyone. That way you know I go live. Or upload a video, which I will be uploading a video this coming week. I did a video on the worst contracts in Major League Baseball for every team. The next one will be the best contract for every team. So keep an eye out for that. That will be coming this week. Got more of those kind of videos coming out as we approach the season. And everyone, we're going to be talking about this upcoming season, in the next, coming weeks. I'm going to be starting to tell you my plans for this coming season, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with you. So, and that's all I got for right now, everyone. That's all I got. I hope we get some news tomorrow. That would be nice. Everyone, thank you for stopping by tonight. Always appreciate you. Have a good rest of your night. And I'll be back tomorrow if there is anything else to talk about. So, everyone, have a great night, and I'll talk to you next time. Hold the phone, everyone. Oh, my goodness. I've been so bad with some of these super chats. Oh, my goodness. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I got to start reading the super chats when I see them. Big Braves fan, $4.99. How do you think my Braves will do this year, and how do you think Chris Sale does? They were so good last year and got beat up in the playoffs. I think the Braves will once again be a powerhouse this year, and I think Chris Sale, he's actually in a better spot with Atlanta. He's going to be in that 3 to 4 in the rotation. I think that's going to take some pressure off of him, and he can just focus on pitching. Right, normal off season for him this past off season. So normal spring, I think he'll be fine. I think Atlanta's going to work with him, just get him ramped up slowly, properly. I think Sale will be fine. I think they're going to manage his innings very well this year, and they'll find a way for him to be effective. I mean, look what they've gotten out of Charlie Morton, right? This guy, as Draftnik Mark likes to say, ages like fine wine. So I think they'll be fine with Chris Sale. Frace. I thought they said fries for a second. Frace, $5 super chat. Chat, who should I keep in Fantasy Baseball Category League? I get to keep 2. Bobby Witt, J-Rod, Corbin Carroll. I'm going Bobby Witt. I'm definitely going J-Rod in that one. Definitely going J-Rod. I think he's a strong MVP candidate this coming year. Man. Oh, Bobby Witt, Corbin Carroll. That's tough. Man. Ooh, that's really tough. I will probably go... Wow. That is really tough. Man. I hate to do it to Bobby Witt, but I like me some Corbin Carroll. I do. Maybe Bobby Witt can give you a bit more power. I guess it depends. If you want a little bit more power, go Bobby Witt. If you want more speed, more stolen bases, go Corbin Carroll. I don't think you can go wrong with either. I definitely say J-Rod in that one, though. Definitely J-Rod. Flip a coin for Bobby Witt, Corbin Carroll. I think either will be good. Have a great night, everyone, and I'll talk to you next time.